part-time judges for 391,000 plus the FICA and retirement, and so that comes to 492. The previous time it was, oh, and on page 18 it shows 7 part-time judges are 53,000. Now you got 53,000 versus 492,000 is a huge difference. So I need explanation there. Again, as you go through the briefing portion on the recommended action, where it talks about everybody else is getting benefits, the sheriff's department, the solicitors, the magistrate, the detention center, but Richland County is getting no benefit. So that's what I think I'd like to see addressed. Plus, in the last agenda briefing package, there were additional considerations by Budget Director Hayes, wherein he said there's concern about the fiscal impact being absorbed by the city, as well as increasing as well as incurring additional costs by the city, by the county. And so is there some change in this concern? Because that one wasn't put in here. Those are just a few of my concerns, of which I have others that I could bring up at another time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, I will go back. Mr. Malinowski, thank you for bringing those to the attention. Those should have to be considered. And with that, Ms. Myers asked for deferral on this item so that those items.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Before my motion for deferral is considered, may I also state one more thing that I'd like for the staff to bring back before us?
Sure, you're recognized, Ms. Myers.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to ask that whoever is moving this item forward, bring back information insofar as what it costs us to essentially host the bond court, what the per head charge is for that, and what we pay our bond court judges, as opposed to the incremental increase. I think Mr. Malinowski alluded to this, but I'd like to be very specific that I'd like to know what the taxpayer benefit is to Richland County citizens of this consolidation. Certainly, I think that in terms of efficiencies, I don't doubt that there probably are efficiencies to be realized, and I'm all in favor of that. I just need us to have a better idea of what we're recommending insofar as helping Richland County. And in tight budgetary times like where we are now, we certainly need more than just a recommendation because it's good for a municipality or perceived to be good for the detention center. We need more information than that. Thank you.
Ms. Myers, also for your info,
Yes,
when you mentioned that about the cost per defendant, this particular package says it's $130.32. The last packet said
that's a different number.
$51.11. So
Right.
discrepancy there too. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, well, I now will go back to entertain a motion to defer this item till we can get further information on it. Ms. Myers, you are now.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I move to defer this item to allow staff time to gather the information requested and to bring back information on whatever outstanding issues there are with the City of Columbia's bond court and the state Supreme Court as suggested. Thank you.
I need a second. Probably moved in second, and we want to defer this until the next administration meeting.
I think that might be too quick.
Yeah,
Okay,
until a lot of issues.
Yes, okay, so until we'll defer this until we can have more information, they can bring it back for a review of where they are. Would you all entertain that?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay, all right. Thank you so very much. Ms. Kim, would you please call the roll on this item, please?
Yes, ma'am. Malinowski,
yes.
Dickerson,
Yes.
McBride, Walker, Myers,
Myers, yes.
passes.
Okay, thank you. That motion passes. The next item will be item 4B, Harris Governor McMaster's license and service agreement. That information is on page 25 through 53. I will entertain a motion on item 4B. Hello?
Madam Chair, is this the assessor's equipment that's been spoken about previously?
I believe so, Mr. Malinowski. That's my understanding. Yes, sir.
I'd move for approval, Madam Chair, for discussion.
Have a motion for approval for discussion. Do I hear a second?
I will second that, Madam Chair.
Second for discussion, Ms. Myers, you are recognized.
Madam Chair, is there a staff member that wants to speak to this item to clarify exactly, as Mr. Malinowski has asked, exactly what it is that we need to do? I read the briefing document, but I just want to be clear on what this is for.
Mr. Brown, are you there?
Madam Chair, may I be recognized? This is Ashley.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Pires, you are recognized to give us information on this item.
This is the update to the
I think it's
assessors.
Ms. Powell.
Pardon me?
It is.
I said, you recognize me, and thank Miss Ashley Powell asked to speak.
I meant to say, Ms. Powell, you know, you are Ashley and Myers, y'all get me confused. Ms. Powell, you are recognized.
Thank you.
Ms.
Yes,
Powell,
ma'am, Madam Chair. This is, as Mr. Malinowski indicated, the update to the CAMA system for the assessor's office.
okay. Does that answer your question, Mr. Malinowski?
Just, was it in a previous budget, or was it, I just want to know.
Ms.
Where-
Myers, you may recall that I briefed you all on an urgent need related to this in an earlier executive session or two. So it was
Yes,
not in a.
ma'am, I'm clear now. You don't need to say anymore. I got it.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
thank you.
Okay, Ms. Myers, so
you.
that clarifies your question?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Mr. Malinowski, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Powell, in the agenda packet on page 53, there's a page in there, and it's called Support and Maintenance. And it gives this total annual maintenance cost $209,278. Is that something that is above and beyond the amounts that we've previously approved, that all of a sudden we're going to approve getting this equipment? And then the next time we hear from somebody, they're going to say, oh, by the way, you need another 300,000 for a maintenance program.
Mr.
Ms.
Malinowski, I apologize, Madam Chair. Am I recognized?
No, Ms. Powell, I was recognizing you for your answer. Follow up.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Malinowski, the total cost that we're asking for today is approximately 1.5 million for the replacement of the system. Without going into too much detail, you may recall that in the earlier executive sessions that I mentioned, there was a request for additional funding to keep the current system moving until the time of implementation. That has moved forward separate and apart from what we're coming before the committee with today.
That still doesn't answer me. Is this support and maintenance cost I'm looking at for the new system or for the existing one?
The support and maintenance cost referenced in this document is for the new system and is included in that total bottom line figure that I quoted you.
Okay, it's included in that. Fine, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm done.
All right. Is there any further discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, I will, Ms. Roberts, will you please call the roll for this item?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson,
Yes.
McBride, Walker, Myers,
Yes, and I'd like to thank the staff for fixing this important issue.
Mhm.
it passes.
Thank you so very much. That is very important. Okay. Next item will be item 4D. You recall we got a request to remove 4C. So the next item would be 4D, Columbia Area Mental Health Lease Agreement Renewal. And that information is on page 146 through 174. I'll entertain a motion on this item, please.
Move to approve, Madam Chair.
Have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll
second
take
for
I'll say
discussion.
it for discussion.
Okay, all right, Mr. Malinowski, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On page 146 of our agenda briefing, it gives the background that 4 years ago, we approved for this particular entity to use county space. And from what I'm seeing here, it sounds like we now need that space. If you go to the discussion section on page 147, it says that we approved the temporary space, which was not statutorily required to provide it to this group. but it goes on to say that the space could be utilized to resolve significant space needs for county departments, and space is also needed for our county health occupational wellness center. And it seems to me we should be making sure we're taking care of our county taxpayers with taxpayer funds, and not necessarily moving across the line and taking care of a state agency that we're not mandated to take care of. So for those reasons, I could not support it, because I want to support our county residents first.
Okay. Any further
Madam
discussion?
Chair,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Myers, you are recognized.
is there a staff member who is responsible for working through this document with us?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, this is Brittany Terry.
Hi, Brittany, how are you?
Yes, Brittany.
I'm good. How are you?
I am well, thank you very much. So a couple of questions. Have we been speaking with the Columbia Area Mental Health team? Are they aware that this lease is up for renewal and that we have space needs that might require them to have an alternative space sourced?
It's my understanding that, yes, they are aware the lease is ending. They actually brought this to administration for renewal. We did not bring this item. So they are aware. I am not sure if they have other plans for space. I know that at some point they were discussing expanding some of their services in various facilities. I'm not privy to that information as far as what their long-range plans are, though, no.
So we have no idea what would happen to the services that they are providing were we to end this lease, because of course the people that they're servicing, while it is a state agency, they are servicing Richland County residents. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct. And to your other question, I believe, and we can have legal confirm this, but based on my understanding, they are currently under a month-to-month lease. So this would be renewing a long-term solution rather than leaving that lease month-to-month as it is. So I guess we're not necessarily, there are two parts to this. This is not necessarily terminating the month-to-month lease, which would require separate notice. That would be a separate council action. So what is before you currently would just be a more long-term lease renewal versus continuing month-to-month. So I guess you have the option
Madam
of
Chair?
not
Yes,
shutting down
yes,
their
ma'am.
service.
Ms. Myers.
I'm
you
sorry
are
for interrupting you,
recognized.
Brittany.
That's okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
may I amend my motion?
you may.
I'd like to offer an amended motion to continue the lease as it is currently contemplated, that month tenancy, until such time as staff brings us back a request to use the premises for other more pressing needs, or until the Columbia Area Mental Health Group comes to us and says they no longer have a month-to-month tenancy need.
Okay, that's, Mr. Malinowski, will you accept the friendly amendment to the original motion?
I'll accept that amended motion. Then I'd like to also add something that when I can, Madam Chair.
Okay, you are recognized. The motion the amended motion has been approved. So, and open for discussion. Mr.
Okay.
Malinowski, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to point out that in the discussion that the South Carolina Department of Mental Health requested to temporarily locate this particular function they're providing into a Richland County facility. So I would
Yeah,
also like to know, because we're talking 4.5 years later, I would like to know what efforts they have made to find a permanent location. And also one of the other items that's mentioned is that the county is responsible for the cost and provision of all utilities, maintenance, janitorial services, and pest control. I'd like to know what costs we are incurring on an annual basis for that as well. That is what I'd like to know.
So you want that included for discussion when it comes back?
Well, I'd just like to see the response to those when it comes back.
All right, sounds good. I hope staff have that documented so that we can get answers to those questions.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on this item?
Mr. Malinowski, Madam Chair, may I ask Mr. Malinowski a
You
question?
may.
Mr. Malinowski, would your goal be for them to absorb those extra costs? Or would your goal be just to have those publicly disclosed?
Well, I think they need to be publicly disclosed, and it depends, especially during the tight times we're coming into. If I find out we're spending a rather large amount for these services we're providing, yes, I would like them to absorb them. But I think we need to get those figures first.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Madam Chair, I might suggest that the staff obviously have some conversation with them about what portions of that they could absorb so that when this comes before full council, those answers are available.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is legal. Sorry to interrupt. May I have a second?
Yes, sir, Ms. McLean. Yes, ma'am, Ms. McLean.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out one thing is that this lease didn't actually expire yet. It expires this year in September 30th. So then it will run over to month to month. But at the moment we were talking about, it hasn't already expired. I just want to clear that up.
Yeah, okay, all right, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, so the Ms. Myers, would you repeat the motion as amended so that we can have a vote on it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, excuse
Yes,
me,
ma'am.
can I get clarification from Ms. McLean, please?
You may, Mr. Malinowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. McLean, I thought the initial lease was signed for 4 years. It was 4 one-year renewals. Is that correct?
It was 5 years total. It was a 1-year lease with four 1-year renewals.
Okay, 5 years total. Thank you.
That's
That's
fine.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. That answered your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Roberts, Ms. Myers, I'd like for you to clarify the motion, the amended motion.
Yes,
so that we can-
ma'am. The amended motion was, well, actually, the amended motion has been mooted by the facts. Because if the lease doesn't expire until September, I don't know that we have to take action to convert this into a month-to-month tenancy. I think that those facts, as stated, were incorrect, as Ms. McLean has now told us. So the motion may be improper, Madam Chair.
Okay, it might be, so we need to just hold this motion and you need to hold this item in committee until September?
No, Madam Chair, I would say we hold it in committee until the next meeting to get those answers that we would like
That's right.
prior to
Okay.
making any commitments.
That's
All right, okay, so would one of you clarify the motion so that we can take a vote?
Madam Chair, I'd offer a third motion.
Yeah,
A third
okay.
And that would be to hold this item in committee pending resolution of all issues.
Okay,
Now,
there
second.
is properly moved in second. Ms. Roberts, will you call the roll?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson,
Yes, yes,
McBride, Walker, Myers.
Yes.
It passes.
okay, thank you so very much. Next item will be item 4E, Federal Aviation Administration CARES Grant Acceptance. Though it's on page 175 and 176. I will entertain a motion for discussion.
I've moved to approve it, Madam Chair.
Have a motion to approve. Right
Second.
here, second, probably moved in second.
Yes, ma'am, I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify. Ms. Roberts, will you call the roll for approval?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson,
Yes,
McBride, Walker, Myers.
Yes.
Passes.
thank you. Next item will be item 4F, Potomac Magistrate rent increase, and that's on 177. I will entertain a motion on this item, please.
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve for discussion.
Have a motion to approve for discussion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it for discussion only.
Okay, it's properly moved in second for discussion only. Mr. Malinowski, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And in the fiscal impact, the dollar amount that is the rent will be increasing is actually 40%. Is that an allowable rental increase in Richland County?
I'm not sure, but I'd have to yield to Ms. McLean or staff for that answer, Mr. Malinowski. That's a question I have. I don't have the answer.
Yeah, I know some cities have rent controls and others don't. And I don't know if we have anything that allows, seems like that's somewhat an outrageous increase.
Okay, who from staff can address that, or legal? Because I really don't have, that is expensive, so I really don't know. Do I have someone from staff or legal to assist us with this question?
I mean, I'll glad to jump in, Mr. Malinowski. I don't know of anything that would preclude this rental increase in a commercial situation.
Okay, I'd like to make sure that it is allowable before we would move forward, if it's decided to move forward with this. Next, I would like to know, and it has not been provided to us, we've been given some information that alludes to the fact there's been a letter, but where is the letter that requests this increase? I'd like to know when that letter was dated. By reviewing the letter, I'd like to know when that letter was received. And while the judge recommends that this be done, I don't know what the recommendation and fiscal impact would be as provided by our staff, that is budget and finance. We usually have a little blurb in here about fiscal impact, and I did not see that in this particular agenda briefing, so I'd like that one also. And that would conclude my questions for now, Madam Chair.
Mr. Malinowski, to follow up with you, I would also, if staff or someone can provide us with a copy of that letter so that we can review it. I too had a question, got a big question mark about that as well. So I would like for staff to provide us with that information, at least between now and our next council meeting. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Ms. Myers,
Yes.
do you have?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chairwoman.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Myers, you are
sorry.
Ms. Myers, you're recognized.
okay, Madam Chair, I am just not in favor of a 40% rent increase in this building. I'd actually like for the staff to bring us other options. I think that that's honestly, I just think that they feel like we're a captive audience and we don't have a choice. And I don't know, coming into this economic climate, I don't know that the county can afford that. And if we had to temporarily locate these matters to the Decker Center is not outrageously far from this area. I might suggest that we look at other alternatives, because this does seem to be a dramatic increase. And I don't know that we have any basis for it, what other services are going to be provided in exchange for it. And I don't think that it's reasonable. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So would you want to do a substitute, would you do a substitute motion on this item so that?
Well, I'm happy to provide a substitute motion that we decline this offer and ask staff to provide us other alternatives. I was planning to vote no. So yes, ma'am, I'm happy to provide a substitute motion that we ask staff to please bring us alternatives for this in lieu of the 40% rent increase, alternatives for providing magistrate service to the Pontiac area until such time as our new facility is built, how we can provide these services and not incur a 40% increase.
I totally agree. Mr. Malinowski, I will second that motion.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'll second that, Madam
Okay, well, Mr. Malinowski seconded, and then is there any further discussion? I hope staff understands the questions that we are trying to get so we can resolve before, so we can get this matter resolved, because we are in some very difficult times right now, and I'm not in favor of, any dramatic increases on anything at this point in time. So the motion has
Chair.
been- Mr. Malinowski, you are recognized, but the motion has been
Right.
approved. Yes,
And
sir.
in
Yes, sir.
speaking to that particular motion, Ms. Myers was saying about the no increases. I think we also need some additional information too, because part of the citation, part of the information provided us was referring to DUI and DUAC cases that they'd have to be put back, that they wouldn't be within the court order by the Supreme Court of South Carolina. I think we need to know how many of those cases there are per month that are received in this particular magistrate's office. What's the average time that it takes one of these cases to be handled? And because the Supreme Court order states that to set terms of criminal court when such terms are necessary for the disposition of cases within the jurisdiction of the magistrate and to assign cases to any magistrate of the county. So we can send these to other magistrates' courts if need be. Thank you.
I agree. Okay, well, it's the Ms. Myers, since we had a lot of discussion, just to make sure that our motion is very clear, would you please restate the motion so that we can take the vote?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I move to decline the offer of a 40% rent increase and to ask staff to bring back to the A&F committee alternatives to the use of this facility for handling Pontiac magistrate issues. Thank you.
And Mr. Malinowski, you second that?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
properly moved and no further discussion on this item. Ms. Roberts, will you please call the roll for, to approve this item, please?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson,
Yes.
McBride, Walker, Myers.
Myers, yes.
It passes.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much. Next item will be 4G, unsafe structures, 11220 Tolliver Street. That information is you'll find on 183. I will entertain a motion on this item. Hello?
Madam Chair, I would move for approval just for discussion's sake.
Okay. Ms.
I'll
Ma-
second that.
Is second for discussion. Mr. Malinowski, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can't support it as it stands without a lot more details because part of the motion of origin, which Ms. Myers had, I believe it was, it said that there would be $300,000 to establish a community center and playground area on the site. I don't believe that we're going to get an actual community center for $300,000. If we can, I want a couple in my area too. But I mean, something like a playground, fine. But I do believe we need some type of financial figures as to what the cost of any and all of these items would be. And so that's why I would like to keep it in committee for those reasons, along with the fact that, Ms. Myers, I don't know, are you still in favor of removing the building and you want to replace it with these other items? It goes further on, it says that the structure is not on any National Register of Historic Places or statewide historic properties list.
I think that, Mr. Malinowski, I think the issue you raised is a fine issue, but I think what the staff is trying to do is get the flexibility to actually move the project along. We will have to approve expenditures as they come up. So I am not so concerned with, I'd like to allow them to move forward and bring back to us approval of actual expenditures as.
Well, I mean, I'm in favor, as I said, of staff bringing some expenditures back to us and pending what those may be, as we've been saying, especially under these times, we need to see what maybe we can get if there's $300,000 already set aside and it can't be used elsewhere. And you can get a playground for a third of that or a half of that, okay. But I just would like to see my motion would be to keep this in committee and direct staff to bring us back some financial figures on what it will cost to get these other items done.
Okay. Is that?
But I guess I would ask Mr. Malinowski. Am I recognized, Madam Chair? I'm
Yes,
sorry for being
ma'am.
out of order.
Ms. Myers, you, Councilwoman, you recognized.
Okay, since this is earmarked money for this specific purpose, I guess my question would be, are you concerned that we won't get the benefit of our tell me what you're concerned with.
Okay, Ms. Myers, my concern is that the earmarked money is 300,000, but the wording calls for community center and playground. And so as I said to begin with, we're not going to get any type of a community center for 300,000. The other concern would be going to the last page of this discussion portion on page 185, where it says that the county must take ownership of the property in order to use public funds. Again, it says to establish a community center and playground on the site. So it seems that they're tied together, that if we approve it, we're approving both items, but we only have 300,000 to work with. That's why I'd like to see figures.
Okay, Ms. Myers, you have any further comments on this item?
That and one other thing, if I may add then, Madam Chair, and that is we're going to have to go through the recently approved rules relating to acquisition of property by the county. And
So let me just say, Mr. Malinowski, this is a structure that needs, that the staff needs to do something quickly. This is not, this structure on Tolliver Street is something, we were called in because we went in and, if I'm not mistaken, started demoing something, and then the other half of it had historic connotations and significance for the community. And so I think that we need to allow staff some flexibility on this. I think that we may be debating that the staff put the wrong wording down for what they're going to do, but I would not like us to hold this in committee because of the nature of what's going on there on site, and that it does need work to be happening now.
well, now you're saying there's some historic aspects to it, yet all we've gotten was from the staff side that's talking about safety aspects. Can we get the Conservation Commission to weigh in on this and possibly begin to handle it?
Madam
Unless
Chair,
I'm mistaken,
Okay, hold on. Mr. Malinowski, that you were directing your question to Ms. Myers?
Well, I know I'm directing it to staff to see if they can give me an answer on that. I don't know if they're if we're talking historic. It seems to me Conservation Commission comes into play.
well, can I say something, Madam Chair, before we move on to them?
Ms. Myers, you are recognized for comment.
I'd just like to note that unless I'm mistaken about the structure, and I think I have the right structure, that this is the oldest known African-American church in that area. And to the extent that the Conservation Commission has not been involved with it, I don't know what they can add, but I do know that continuing to bulldoze it and not figuring a way to preserve it would be a major problem. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, one other thing, and that is, as I
Mr.
started to say.
Malinowski, you're recognized.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. As I started to say that we have recently approved how we acquire property, and there's a format to go through. And I think we need to go through the acquisition side of that as well in order to acquire this property, if that's what we're going to do. So that's something else that I believe staff would need to bring back to us. I'm all in support of saving an historic building, as Ms. Myers points out. And that's why I said Conservation Commission, because I'm thinking at this point in time, we can stop the demolition process by having it declared an historic building, as you're saying, Ms. Myers. And then once we stop that process and move forward with the reconstruction or whatever it may be, that's where we can find out what the financial costs are. And I would support halting demolition at this point in time until we get some additional information.
Thank you, Mr. Malinowski.
So I want someone to clarify the motion.
Okay, I would make a motion that we direct council to, well, we recommend to council that we do not support the demolition of this structure until we are able to determine what type of finances it will take to preserve it.
Can I get a second on that motion?
Mr. Malinowski, can I make a friendly amendment to your motion?
Sure.
I would say that that we don't support the destruction of this facility, period. And we further ask staff to bring us back information on costs to preserve and put in place something that is consistent with the community's needs and preserving this space.
And
Mr.
that-
Malinowski, you accept the friendly amendment to the motion?
yeah, I'll accept that. Just one last question for Ms. Myers, and I don't know the location here. Is this with in the unincorporated area, Ms. Myers?
Sir,
Is this unincorporated or within the city?
it's right on the backside of Shop Road, and it's in a part of my district that has a pocket that's unincorporated and a pocket that is incorporated. I'm not sure. It's got two circles. You're familiar with where the Shop Road DMV is. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit further down from there and on a side street.
Toward I-77, right?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I don't-
between DMV and I-77. If I think I'm putting it in the right direction.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes, sir.
I only ask that because if we can possibly get some assistance from the city was all. But I'm fine. Let's go ahead and
Let's move for, okay, Mr. Malinowski, you accept that Ms. Myers' friendly amendment, so
yes,
can you
ma'am.
take the motion so we can take a vote? I
Ms.
appreciate
Myers, would you please do that because you've got the bulk of it with your friendly amendment, I think.
it. Ms.
Okay,
Myers, would you
so-
please do the,
Madam Chair,
Yes. Someone
Madam Chair.
has asked you to speak.
Madam Chair, may I be recognized before the vote?
hold on one second, Ms. Powell, you are.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to first offer an answer to Mr. Malinowski's question that this location is in the city of Columbia. Secondarily, I wanted to clarify that what staff is currently asking is for the ability to move forward to work with the property owner to abate the violations on the property. Clayton may have some more details to add around that, but I just wanted to clarify the request of staff at this time.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
So who was that, Mr. Charles?
no, Madam Chair, it's Clayton Voyer, Community Planning
Okay.
and
Mr.
Director.
Voyer. Yes, you are recognized, Mr. Voyer.
I just wanted to clarify that we are not actively demolishing this structure. Currently, even though they are on our unsafe structure list, there's no active demolition going on due to the state of the property. There are just some things that need to be done to the property to abate the violations. So we are not demolishing this property.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Malinowski, you recognized?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This brings another question to mind then, based on Ms. Powell's comment that this property is within the city. I did not realize that the county would be allowed to go into the city, even if there were the potential of demolition and demolish something within the city confines. Is that an allowable?
Mr. Malinowski, if I said is, I apologize. I meant to say is not in the city of Columbia. It's
Oh,
it's really
okay.
I didn't
unincorporated.
think it was.
All right.
Look, I travel that area, going back and forth,
Yeah.
but I did not think that was in the city, although I'm not familiar graphically with it, but it just didn't appear that it was in the city.
I was
Yes,
wondering,
yes, ma'am, I
I was wondering
apologize.
if we were considering knocking down buildings in the city. Thank you.
All right, well then, with that, I will want someone, either I think Mr. Malinowski defer to Ms. Myers to make the
Correct.
motion so that we can go forward. Ms. Myers, you are now recognized.
Madam Chair, I
Yes, ma'am.
move that we allow the staff to work with the building owners to prevent any demolition activity and to bring it up to code, and further work with the Conservation Commission to ascertain any conservation issues and assistance that can be provided.
Mr. Malinowski, you accept that
I
friendly?
accept that. Thank you.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second. With no further discussion on this item, all in favor signify by casting your vote. Ms. Kim, will you please call the roll?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson,
Yes.
McBride, Walker, Myers,
Myers, yes.
passes.
Okay, the motion passes. If there are no further discussion for the A and F committee this day, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Madam Chair, there was one more item.
Thank you.
Was that one removed?
Yeah, it was removed.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
No, no.
H is not-
I'm sorry, Ms. Dickerson, this is Ashia
Yes, ma'am.
recognized.
Yes, ma'am.
There is actually item 4H, which is the replacement office building for the stormwater management. That's on the
yeah.
amended
That's- Yeah,
agenda.
that's the one I printed it. Okay, all right.
We removed 4C.
All right,
I move to approve that item.
Madam Chair, I do not have an amended agenda in front of me. I'm not aware of that particular item. So at this point, I'd make a motion to defer that one until I can get the info.
Okay.
Mr. Malinowski, do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
mind if we ask the staff if it's time sensitive before your motion to defer?
You can, but I'll still vote no. Go ahead.
Okay. Can someone from the staff answer whether or not this item is time sensitive?
Madam Chairman, Chris Eversman, Deputy Director of Public Works.
Yes, sir, Mr. Everson, you recognize I got, it was sent to me late. I reviewed it, but I didn't have enough information to actually get a full understanding. You are recognized, you're recognized.
Yes, ma'am. I would just offer that the item was, I believe, deferred to this meeting based on running out of time at last month's meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And so the current structure that our stormwater management division is housed in is in extremely poor shape. You know, we would just hope that that this could, if there are questions, possibly move forward to the full council, and we could answer any questions between now and then. And if there are anything else that needs to be addressed with regards to the project itself, or maybe answer any questions, General Manager Sanithia Williams is available as well, ma'am. Thank you.
Mr. Malinowski, and I think basically, Mr. Everson, I agree with you, and I'm trying to say, I thought I asked staff, because this is very important to me. When we have an issue that we cannot get to because we do not have the time, I've asked that those items be put first on the agenda so that we can keep in touch and in line with the items that come before these committees. And so you're absolutely right, it got omitted. I did get the information. Mr. Malinowski, if someone can make a motion to send this to council without a recommendation for further discussion, I will definitely entertain that motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to add on to what you're saying and requesting that items be provided to us when they are of great importance. Now, Mr. Eversman gave us a lot of comments there, but he never really said if it is or isn't time sensitive. He said, we'd like to see it done. To me,
Okay.
that's sort of like my car is 3,000 miles over the required oil change recommendation, and I'd like to see it done. But that doesn't mean that if I don't get it done, that the car is going to seize up and not continue to run.
Mr. Everson, is this time?
Madam
sensitive?
Chairperson, John Thompson, may I be recognized?
Yes, sir, you recognize.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Mr. Thompson.
Okay.
I'd still like to know, when was this sent out and who sent it out?
Mr. Shear sent it out, was it Monday, Tuesday,
Michelle sent Monday.
So, what day?
Monday.
So Monday,
yes.
Monday,
it was
clerk's
sent out
office sent, Monday, clerk's office sent it out, and to address these other questions, no, sir, it's not time sensitive. But as Mr. Eversman mentioned, it was just something that was on the agenda before. While it was sent out late, it was overlooked, but it was an item that should have been on this agenda initially.
Okay, well, I understand that there may be a need for a new or a reconditioned building, but I would like to actually review the information because it sounds like there may be quite a bit there. I don't know, how many pages was that?
I forgot, Mr. Malinowski.
Dr. Thompson, how many pages was that update?
There was no update to the, I'm sorry, Dickerson.
It was previous information.
Well, the
It was
document, how
right.
long was the document?
It's start on page 205, 216, sir. It's 12 pages.
Mhm,
12 pages.
mhm.
Okay. Well,
It's 2 pages for the briefing document and the remainder is the price quote and the layout.
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Well, I
I would
don't
still make a motion to defer this to the next meeting so we can have all the info reviewed.
I second the motion.
You second the motion for deferral?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Well, Miss, it's been properly moved in second, and I'm gonna chime in. I don't know whether, I do apologize for this motion, for this item, because it was on our agenda for, April, did not get addressed. And I have some concerns about it. I would like to make a substitute motion to send it to the full council without a recommendation.
Madam Chair, if that's the will of the chair, I'll second that motion and withdraw my motion from the motion to defer.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes, sir.
while I do not have the rules directly in front of me right now, I believe that this item would not be properly in front of us on this agenda because it's my recollection that items to appear on a standing committee agenda must be provided, printed out and provided to members of the committee and of council on the Friday before the committee meeting. And if they were only sent out on Monday, that is a violation of our rules. So I don't think we should even be discussing this at this point.
Well, Mr. Malinowski, we probably didn't have it on this one, but we had it on our previous agenda and it did not get discussed. So with that, I'm going.
That may be. I'd like our parliamentarian to weigh in on this, to answer if this is properly before us, an item that is there without following the rules. I
Okay.
see Ms. McLean, I think, is still there.
Ms. McLean, can you answer that question for me?
Oh, Mr. Malinowski. All right, I'm pulling up your rules just to verify what you said. 1 second.
I see 4.4.
Yeah, I'm looking now.
I don't have them in front of me, so I'd have to really dig them to find them.
All right. The agenda says for standing committees, agendas must be delivered electronically to the county administrator's office no later than 5 p.m. on the date 2 weeks prior to the committee's scheduled meeting date.
Go to the last sentence, last paragraph
The
there.
last sentence, the last sentence says, agendas with backup information shall be provided to all members of council on or before the Friday prior to the committee meeting.
Thank you.
It looks like that it might have been proper for the last meeting and improper for this meeting. Even though it was on a previous agenda, it was not noticed properly at this meeting.
Madam Chair, the fact that it is not properly before us, I would I would move to adjourn and make sure this gets put first on the next agenda.
That motion dies for lack of a second, and I still go on my motion to send this.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Myers, you are recognized at this time.
I think that technically Mr. Malinowski is correct.
Yeah.
I am just concerned that where we are is yielding to the technicality and not making room for just plain old human error. And I think that that's what happened here, because the item was briefed to us before, and if Mr. Malinowski feels that this is, a violation that just that puts us in a bad place, and I'm willing to go along with that, but I would just ask for some, just some human indulgence here, because it seems like this was just a human error.
But Dr. Thompson's already said it's not definitely a time sensitive and it can wait.
Well, my motion, Ms. Myers, second my motion to move this forward, and then if we get to council, and if it's not, we can have further discussion on it, and then we can determine the time, the further time sensitivity of this item. With that, my motion still stands, because we are in some very difficult times at this particular moment. We are not all together. I mean, I want to thank staff for doing a great job under these untimely circumstances. And with that, since this was on my agenda before, time ran out and we could not discuss it. I'm gonna stick with my motion, and you can vote it up or down, and that's where I am. Thank you.
Ms. McLean, can you tell us, can this happen now? People can just, if it's not properly before us, can just decide to make motions and move them along on something not properly before us.
It's not really my call. The chair is in charge of the meeting. There are ways that you can protest that or not, but the chair has the final say.
And how do you protest it?
Give me 1 second. I'll get my rules out.
I'm challenging it.
Mr. Malinowski,
Yes, ma'am.
would you at all entertain or Madam Chair, would you be willing to entertain a motion to waive the rules and allow this item to be taken up before us as it was left off the previous agenda and should have been on this agenda but for a clerical error?
I second that motion, Ms. Myers.
Okay.
Well, I'm waiting to hear from Ms. McLean first.
I think we can
Ms.
vote on this
McLean,
motion.
you're gonna have to hurry, because we got 2 minutes, okay?
Well, Ms. Myers,
Madam Chair, we can vote without a ruling from Ms. McLean. I mean, my motion stands whether or not, whether she says you can protest it or not, my motion would stand. It just basically says allow for a clerical error to be corrected by putting this on the committee's agenda.
Okay, well, and I second that motion.
unfortunately, Ms. Myers, I see too many of these things happening.
Ms. Roberts, will you please call the roll for the, to waive the rules on this item, please?
Malinowski,
No,
Dickerson,
Yes.
McBride, Walker, Myers.
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, the motion passed to waive the rules. Now we're back to the item, please. We got 1 minute. Ms. McLean,
Well, you've already waived the rules, so you can go ahead
Yeah.
and make your motion.
all right, so
I think so.
all in favor of the motion to forward this to committee, to the council without a recommendation, would you please, Ms. Roberts, would you please call the roll on this item?
Malinowski, Dickerson,
Yes.
McBride, Walker, Myers.
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, I will entertain a
I was
motion for
no,
adjournment.
Ms. Roberts, I was a no on that. I think I was.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so I entertain a motion to adjourn. It's 3 o'clock.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Motion to second. Call the roll, Ms. Roberts.
Malinowski,
No,
Dickerson,
Yes.
McBride, Walker, Myers.
I just know this is the first time Bill Malinowski has ever wanted to stay late. I vote yes.
It passes.
Okay, we are now
we
adjourned.
never really finished discussing the last item.
Well, the time is up, Mr. Malinowski.
I understand that.
The meeting is now adjourned.